What does it take to create a vibrant, thriving life? First, the sad news is that Thoreau was right. Most people are leading quiet lives of desperation, lacking in meaning, fulfillment, and vitality. But we choose more. We choose to create extraordinary lives. And the Art of Vibrant Living show entertains you with inspiration, empowerment, and education to create your life into a masterpiece. It's time. Let's vibe up. Aloha, my friends. I hope y'all are having a beautiful new year already. Or if you're on replay, I hope it's a beautiful, amazing day. And so happy to be with you. I'm Daniel Aaron. I'm your host. This is the Art of Vibrant Living show. Exciting, cool, interesting, different show we have for you today with an amazing guest. Tell you about her in a moment. First, though, remember, please, this show is, yes, entertainment, yes, inspiration, most importantly, though, empowerment. So I ask you, please, would you do something with this, right? Take something that you hear, some piece of inspiration, and go, boom, I'm going to put that into effect in my life. Do something different because you, like me, like all of us, there is more room to grow into greater and greater vibrancy. All right, deal? Cool. Thank you. Now, our guest today, Susanna Smith, is a certified life and success coach who helps people transform lives through helping them connect to the energy of the universe and God, or higher power, to cultivate positivity in their lives and peace and joy in their souls. We all want more of that. Awesome. Susanna, thank you so much for being with us. Welcome.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me. Such an honor and pleasure to be here.
You're welcome. I'm delighted to be with you. So I am so excited to learn from you and hear from you. And, I know a tiny bit about you. You've had an interesting, colorful past. So would you give us a quick version of how you got to this point in your life, helping people in the beautiful ways that you do?
My life just seemed to be one dramatic tragedy after another. And it took me a while to figure out how to use it in a good way. But the most important moment in my life was when I was going through cancer treatments and I tried to commit suicide. And when the gun jammed, I knew that my purpose was on the other side of my treatment. And I knew that God had a higher calling for me and that it was to heal from my past and to move forward into the future, connecting with the positive energy of the universe and a higher power. And now I have the ability to manifest my life in beautiful ways.
Holy moly. Thank you for sharing that. And let me just double check that I got this right, because that sounds like just a massively deep and pivotal moment. So wanting to kill yourself, ready to kill yourself, to the point that you had a loaded gun, right? And you were about to shoot yourself. Am I following correctly so far?
I pulled the trigger.
Whew. Wow. I mean, go ahead.
Well, when the gun jammed, I started taking it apart. I'm very logical, very left-brained. And so as I pulled the gun apart, I found the bullet, and it was in the barrel of the gun, facing in the wrong direction. So I knew it was a miracle, and I knew that I was supposed to be here.
Wow.
And so my journey unfolded starting in the morning of that evening. And so that's when I started my healing journey, healing from my past abuse. and all the childhood trauma that I had been through, and moving into a space of trust and understanding, gratitude, and forgiveness.
Wow. That's amazing, Susanna. And I'm lucky, I suppose, in one way, because I also have something of a dramatic story of awakening. And I mean, I'm lucky, and maybe that's part of it. I seem to connect with so many people on this show and otherwise who tell of these just life-changing, transformational, pivotal moments that are, clearly the unseen hand of the divine at work, right? And part of what I love about that is, of course, there are so many people in the world now who are, maybe at the point of suicide, or maybe just really experiencing rough stuff. And hearing stories like yours can be enough for someone to say, you know what? I don't have to go that far. I can change my life now. I don't have to wait for life to change it for me. So that's really beautiful and inspirational. And so, next question for me is, when you said that's the point where you started your healing journey, what was your first step? What did you do at that point?
Um, it's interesting how it happens, because we always get signs from the universe, but we don't always pay attention to them. So I started getting signs in emails. I was very ill at the time from cancer and going through cancer treatments, and I was couldn't get off the couch most of the day. And so I was scrolling through emails, and these emails kept popping up of healing and how to heal your inner child, and meditations for healing your inner child, and gratitude lessons. And so they just kept popping up and popping up, the same ones over and over again. And so I finally just said, okay, God, this is it. I get it. And I started opening them and actually paying attention to them. And that's how I started my healing journey.
Wow. Okay. And I love that, more synchronicity, right? Now, because you'd made the decision that you were going to shift your life, right? Then you started seeing things that you weren't seeing before, right? Um, and and so what did that look like for you? How did you engage? Like what email, or was it a program or a teacher or a mentor or a coach, or what started things moving for you?
I started listening to podcasts
Hmm.
from Jay Shetty and some of the other inspirational and spiritual leaders. So every day I started listening to podcasts. I remember one of the emails was actually a meditation for going back to where it all began and rescuing your inner child. And that was one of the most powerful and emotional things I had ever done. It was eye opening, and it was just for me to describe it to people. They would think I was crazy, but so on this journey, in this meditation, you go back to the place where it all happened, where you left that child,
Hmm.
and you actually rescue them from the abuse that is happening, and you bring them with you to the place that you are now. And you're supposed to integrate, but she didn't want to integrate.
Hmm.
So I kind of walked around with this 5-year-old child, like imaginary child, attached to me everywhere I went for a while, until it got to the point where I was like, you have to integrate. You have to
Hmm.
you have to become part of me. You're okay. I will protect you. And I had to reassure her that she would be protected. And we just went on a growth journey from there.
Hmm. That's beautiful. Thank you. It reminds me when I first had the divine 2x4 upside the head that woke me up to different realities. And in a similar way, I was, in some way, my life was shattered. So that's what sparked me into my obsession with personal and spiritual development. And the very first modality that I moved into was the perfect thing for me, because I met a shamanic counselor. I never even heard of shamanism in my life. However, she was also a, what do we call it? MSCW or something like that. She was certified in the Western mental health industry. And so that gave me enough comfort, like, okay, she's connected to the regular world too. And I remember one of the very first experiences I had with her, and she took me on these shamanic journeys. One of them was similar. It was a inner child recovery thing. And, and she guided me, and next thing I knew, I was probably around the same age. I don't know. And I was in this event from horseback riding with my father came back to me. And that's where a part of me had fragmented off, right? I got really freaked out and scared. And I remember coming out of that journey like, whoa, what happened? And it wasn't yet integrated. And so the next journey she took me on was in shamanism called a dismemberment journey, right? Which is pretty scary. And it was pretty scary. And there are all these different archetypal experiences people have where their physical body is not in physical reality, but on another plane. Their physical body is dismembered, like all the different parts are cut off. And I remember when she took me on that, I was again freaking out. And then as it resolves, they come back together, and that was the integration of that part and other parts of me at the same time, right? So go ahead, you want to say something?
No, I was just going to say that sounds amazing, though. An amazing journey.
It really was. It was powerful, and I think made all the more important and valuable to me because I had no preconceptions. I was like, I don't know what any of this is or what it means. And the woman was so, this counselor was so kind and loving and skilled and grounded. I just knew that I could put my trust in her. Yeah. So what happened for you, Susanna? After that inner child integration, how did that change things for you?
I just continued on the road, on the path of healing. And one of the things that I had to learn was to give up control. I was absolute control freak. Grew up right outside of New York City, AAA personality. There's like high power jobs my whole life. I was such a control person and such a control freak. And people would always say when I was, growing up, just give it to God. And I'd be like, okay, God, you got it. But I'd still be trying to figure out how to fix it myself. And what I realized is that's what most people do. And it's because we don't have trust. So we think we still have to do it because we can't trust that a higher power is actually going to do it for us. And so I think that part of the growth and part of the transformation that we as human beings need to make is in learning to trust something that we can't see, knowing that it is there for us and that it will take care of us. And one of the things, one of the ways that happened for me was, again, I kind of have to be hit in the head like with a 2x4, like you were saying earlier. And so for me, part of it was going through my cancer treatments. I couldn't work. And I had just moved into a condo almost a year before that. And now I can't work. How am I going to pay the bills? What am I going to do? And so I was so sick and I just didn't know what I was going to do. And so I said, all right, God, you've got this. I know that my purpose is on the other side of this. You've already shown me that. You stopped me from being able to stop my life. So if that's the truth, then I have to trust that you gave me my condo, which is another whole thing of blessings. You gave me my condo, and now I can't work, so I have no income and I have no way to pay the bills. I have to trust you. I have to trust you. I can't do anything else but trust you. And a couple of days later, a nonprofit organization, I had no idea that this was going to happen. I don't know who they, like, I had no idea who they were at the time or anything. But all of a sudden, 3 months of my mortgage were paid by this nonprofit organization.
Wow.
And I got an email saying that this nonprofit organization just paid 3 months of my mortgage payment. And so it was just part of, that was the first step in learning to trust. And so, putting it to the test, I was on my way to radiation treatment and I needed 4 tires and the snow was coming, and I have 4 ball tires and I have a Subaru. So all-wheel drive vehicle, you can't replace 1 tire. And so I said, I was like, God, I need 4 new tires and I have no money and I have to get to radiation. I don't have a choice. I'm on my way to radiation now, and I know you're going to take care of it. On my way home from radiation, I got in an accident. Not my fault. Blew a tire, and the other person's insurance company paid for 4 new tires for me.
Wow. That's amazing. And, and I so agree and so relate to what you said about trust. I think that's, for so many of us, myself included, and certainly there have been times in my life where I was really far on the side of control compared to surrender or trust. And I've moved the needle some, though I know there's more room for me to grow. And I've got a sneaky suspicion there might be 1 or 2 or 800 people in our audience that can relate to that. So, you've shifted in your life to helping people now, and supporting them in their journey. How do you help people to be able to trust more?
By identifying their limiting beliefs and why they feel they can't let go. What is the purpose? You want help from the universe, but then you're not trusting the universe to actually help you. And I had an interesting thing happen to me this summer on vacation that reaffirmed this belief. And it showed up like this. I misplaced my passport and I was trying to get across the border of 2 countries. Neither one of them was America. And so I just said, God, I know you've got this, and I know I'm going to get across. And I did. And what I realized sitting there while the immigration and border control people were trying to decide what to do with me, I realized that I couldn't have worry in one hand and trust in the other, because they don't go together. They're 2 polar opposites. You can worry or you can trust, but you can't do both at the same time. So if you're worrying, you're not trusting. And if you're trusting, then there's nothing to worry about. And that's, so that just really kind of solidified that for me. And so that's one of the things I help people, or I try to help people understand, that if you're worrying, you cannot possibly be trusting. And if you're trusting, then there's nothing to worry about.
Beautiful. I love it. Super clear. So then that brings 2 questions. You said you help people identify their limiting beliefs, right? And I know from my own experience that one of the tricky things about beliefs is we don't think they're beliefs. We just think that's the way it is, right? We're the proverbial fish in the fish bowl. So how do you help identify those limiting beliefs?
I have a couple of fun things. I think they're fun. My clients don't always think they're fun, but a couple of things in my toolbox that I have collected along the way. And one of them is the 3 better questions. To ask the 3 better questions. So when you're upset about something, or somebody said something that upset you or hurt you, or whatever the situation may be, you always have to ask certain questions. So the first question is, what does it matter?
What does it matter?
Does it matter? Does it really matter? And so what does it mean? What does it mean to you that that person said that about you, or that they think that about you, or that happened to you? And then the third question is, what do you choose? Do you choose to be hurt and upset, or do you choose to believe what they're saying about you, or do you choose the truth? And I think that that's the important thing. And to help people see help people see what the truth really is in that situation, because it's always the choice, and what we choose is always up to us. It's not up to other people. I always tell people, what other people say about you and what other people think about you is none of your business.
Yep. Yeah, 100% clear. And, seems like that's sometimes a hard thing for people to grok, especially in the moment when they are, when they snap into the victim mode and it's all happening to me. So is there anything you offer or help with for yourself or with clients to sort of intervene in those moments when we get hijacked into survival?
I think victim mode is, I was just talking about this actually earlier with somebody. Victim mode is where most people get stuck. And it's because society gives credence to it. And so for me, I tell people, and it makes them stop and think sometimes. Sometimes they just think I'm crazy. But there is no good or bad until you put a label on it. So again, it's a choice. So when you go into victim mode, and it's a choice whether you stay there or not. So I always say, a friend of mine lost her husband unexpectedly at a young age. And so she said, "Oh, I know I'm not supposed to grieve." Well, that's not true. You are supposed to be sad and you are supposed to grieve, but you're not supposed to live there. And I think that's the difference. It's whether you know the difference between something happening to you and realizing that, yes, you were a victim in that moment, but you are no longer a victim once the incident has passed. So it's to honor the moment, but to choose not to live there. And that is really the difference. And what happens is we get so much attention being a victim that it's just easier to live there. It's easier to be able to blame other people for who we are becoming or how we're acting than it is to accept the responsibility for ourselves, that we're acting that way because we're allowing ourselves to act that way because of an incident that occurred. So one of the things that I try to do is to show people the part that they're playing in the role that they're living. Because it's not the act of the whatever it was that happened to you. It's your choosing to live in that space. And so I help people leave that space and move forward. So I am a victim of child abuse, of sexual abuse. I could choose to continue to be angry and continue to hate and continue to blame everything wrong with my life on those incidents. Or I can rise above it, understand what I can do with those incidents in a positive way and help other people who need to move through it. And so in my journey of healing, one of the things that I discovered was to be grateful for all those horrible things that happened to me as a child, because they give me the insight and the ability to connect with people on a level that no one else who has never been through those situations can connect on, to be able to help them understand that you do understand what they're going through, and then help them understand that they don't have to live there anymore, that there is room to move forward and have a life separate from the trauma.
I love it. That's beautiful. I work with a lot of coaches who are sort of new, or especially new to the business side of coaching. And I often hear from them, well, maybe I should get certified, or maybe I should get another certification. And my response is, cool, if you want to do that, if it feels useful. And I love learning. I've taken so many courses, and I've, hundreds of certifications of this and that. So I love that. And the single most powerful certification, credential, authority is what you have been through and overcome in your life, right? There's that therapeutic adage, which is you can't take anybody deeper than you've been yourself. And, even in our short time together, Susanna, today, I'm amazed at how many deep challenges you've had. And I know we're just touching the tip of the iceberg, and the ways you have turned that lead into gold. It's really beautiful. So, question, as time's flying along here, is there anything that I haven't asked you about that you would like to bring forward?
Well, I would just like to touch on what you were just talking about as far as coaches that you work with, and them feeling the need to get more certifications or be certified. And what I see as a limiting belief in coaches is that a piece of paper is going to make them a better coach. And it's your healing and your growth that makes you a better coach. So again, coaches are just humans, right? So we all have our limiting beliefs, and we all have our ability to not want to travel inside ourselves deep enough to heal from the traumas of our past. And so I always say, if you're not ready to look at yourself and to heal yourself, then how can you heal others or help heal others? I shouldn't say heal others, because we don't do that. We help others on a journey of healing. So if you haven't done that work yet, how can you possibly help other people do that work?
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
so for me, that I think is the most important thing. I have a whole toolbox full of tools, and none of them came from my learning or my certification. None of them are the wheel of life. None of them. They're the three better questions. They're the one of my favorite things to do, especially with people who are down on themselves, right? Who are in a very negative space, to ask them to name 10 things, the best 10 things about themselves. Because that's who you are. So whatever those, and it gets really hard, usually after about 4, but we push on. And sometimes I have to, help and give a few. But that list, then I have them take that list and I have them mount it in places in their house where they'll see it, because that's who they are, right? That's who we are. Whatever that is, kind, caring, generous, whatever those things are that define you in a positive way, is what your truth is. And so I use that all the time with people. I say, this is, let's work on who you are.
Hmm.
Um, so it really depends. It's so important to meet people where they are, but not to let them stay there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is one of the things that I do. I always tell people you have to meet somebody where they are, but never let them stay there. And if they're not ready to move, they just want to stay there, they want to stay in victim mode, then I don't even particularly coach them. I give them to other coaches that I know and that I went to school with. I don't have the patience. I figure life's too short for me. I've been through cancer. I've been through. So really, one of the things that I do is I really like to work with people who are ready to do the work, because
Yeah.
that's the journey that I am most suited to help people on.
Awesome. Well, and I love that about the list of the best things about someone. That's fantastic. So, Susanna, you kindly offered a gift for our audience. Would you say a word about that?
I'm offering a free coaching session, up to an hour, between 30 minutes and an hour, depending on how the session goes and what you bring to the table, to see if there's something that you can work on or what you want to show up as to help make yourself the happier, better person that you want to be, to live in 2025, to start the new year in a better place. So, whatever that means to you, because it means something different to each one of us, but to find out if there is a way and there is something that you would like to work on, that we can help you set up goals and help you have a target for moving forward in that space.
Fantastic. What a generous gift. I love it. And I believe you said the way for people to take advantage, and I hope and recommend that they do, is to send you an email with the show title and the subject line, The Art of Vibrant Living Show. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. And then I can send them a link to my Calendly link, and they can choose a time and day that works best for them. And we can go from there.
Okay, beautiful. So here's a long email address, though they're all easy words. You can get it. It is the Great Escape Life Coaching at gmail.com. Right. So, and it's on the screen for those of y'all that are viewing now or by replay. Once again, the Great Escape Life Coaching at gmail.com. Beautiful. Okay, well, Susanna, that brings us up to the last question, the big question, the impossible question, because it's so big. In fact, it's so big that you can't get it wrong. So it's the easiest one ever. You've got so much experience and training and wisdom. If you had to distill that down to one thing to say to our audience that would help them to live their most vibrant, thriving life, what is that one thing?
It's a choice. How you live your life and how you surround yourself, the people and the energy that you allow into your space is your choice. And a lot of times we can't always see it, but when your eyes are open to it, you will realize how much negative energy you allow into your space on a daily basis that's keeping you from finding that joy and happiness that you're running on that hamster wheel in your head to find, and to live your best, most vibrant life.
Awesome. I love that. So beautiful. Well, Susanna, thank you for that. And thank you for your honesty, your vulnerability, the amazing experiences you've had, and more importantly, what you've done with those. Really appreciate your journey and being here with us and sharing. So thank you.
Thank you. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be here. I hope that your audience takes advantage of finding joy and happiness in 2025 and reaches out.
I am so with you. That's fantastic. And hey, y'all, the audience, the heroes, thank you. I appreciate not only you being here, I appreciate that you are open to, interested in, committed to living a more vibrant, thriving life. That is beautiful. And not only does that make your life better, which is great, it makes the world better. And if I can be of assistance, feel free to send me an email, daniel@danielaaron.com. I'd love to connect. I'd love to learn who you are. And please tune in again soon. There is more magic, more joy coming our way, your way. Thank you again for being here. I love you. Mahalo for tuning in to the Art of Vibrant Living show, y'all. I'm Daniel Aaron, and may you live with great vibrancy.